Welcome to another video, everyone. This is an absolutely fantastic game that I recently played and really enjoyed, and I just wanted to cast it for you guys because of how cool it was. I was doing a practice fight night for bar fight, and we have me here in the corner. We've got Batman as well, and then we also have a life hack. Now this is an interesting game because of how large this map is. You can see here we have it's technically designed for an 8v8 with how many positions there are. It's 0 wind as well, and then on the other side we have Nico. We got Nebuchadnezzar here, and we also have Ephemera. And Ephemera is 37 OS, so he's a quite a good player. Anyway, we're just going to be checking this game out. It's a pretty interesting game because we ended up having 2 people leave in the middle of our match, and I want to just kind of show how you guys, if something bad like that happens, you can still end up overcoming those challenges and push through even with a lost player. Because this game, I thought for sure I was going to end up losing, but we ended up controlling a large portion of the map and came out with a win, thankfully. It was a very close game. So we're just going to speed through the starting, the opening, as that's pretty basic. We don't really need to worry too much about that. Obviously no wind on this map, so it's going to be pretty important to get out solar panels here. Sorry, just turn up the volume a little bit for you guys as well. And we're starting with just one con. He's going to be going straight into mexes. You can see this map has so many mexes available to everyone involved that getting these constructors just going crazy with mexes is going to be extremely valuable right off the bat. And we're just keeping an eye out in case they do any pushes on us. We have a little bit of a problem here I actually want to talk about. We ended up getting a bomber that pushed in, and this really caught all of us off guard. You can see over on this side of the map Nebuchadnezzar opening with a lab, and that really was quite effective as he destroyed a few solar panels and a few mexes as well, and he's just taking advantage of that bombing run. I did put up a couple of these anti-air turrets just in case, and then we are also walking up with the commander to claim these mexes. Now, something I did here quite interesting is I decided, okay, Nebuchadnezzar is going for a bombing run. That means he went air. Maybe I can try some early harassment on him. So I end up pushing in with those guys. Just at least that's in my plan originally, was to try some early aggression. You can see we have a single grunt coming up, and we got a couple grunts in vision here. Unfortunately, poor Turquoise never got an anti-air up, so he's taken some hits, unfortunately. We've got our con turret finished here. And I think I might be a little bit distracted, finally catching that. Grunt pushing up there as well. And we are just pumping out a good amount of construction bots, grave robbers. I needed a couple more grave robbers than I built originally, so that was a mistake. I would definitely do like 2 more. Some anti-air, some grunts, thugs, and rocket bots. We're just now getting to Nebuchadnezzar's base here, and we're gonna try to capitalize on that as best we can. These guys end up really struggling down here quite a bit in this whole game. They just keep getting harassed constantly, but Green's doing quite well on his side. Life hack going for vehicles and pumping out lots of blitzes. The blitz is able to keep mobility high with very fast maneuvering, and we're gonna try to sneak around away from that commander. We got vision finally of the that turret, so we're gonna try to get up behind that turret so that we can avoid the damage it will give us. And we're also checking expansion here. You can see we're just verifying he has not expanded at all any extra. while also claiming some of these mexes. Now, it's important to note that I am not even center yet. This is the center line here, and that's where I really need to do my battleground. So if I was to play this game over again, let's really quick before going into that, I did get in, but I ended up getting stunned by Shuris, and we didn't quite take them out in time, so those guys ended up just dying, unfortunately. Anyway, if I ended up playing this match again, I would definitely push this line a little bit quicker than what I did originally, just due to the fact that this is kind of the middle ground. Anyway, getting all these mexes built up. You could even go for a little bit of what are they called, the exploiters. You could go for some exploiters, and that might be an even better option as well. Got our thugs marching along. Let's go ahead and speed up time a little bit. They tried doing a little bit of harassment, nothing really too crazy. Some rocket bots end up coming in, and my favorite thing to do with rocket bots, especially if there's not a bunch of them, is just to full on push them, especially if they don't have any support. Just push straight into them and try to capitalize on those slower units. Not to mention they can't really shoot. They aren't at the most accurate unit when shooting. They kind of stop. They try to lead targets, and the rocket is a little bit slower moving. We get a good opportunity to capitalize on at least some vision here. I was hoping to do a raid on the base, but there ended up being a lot of units there, so I just go for a scout around to see if I can't do some damage through that mex area and just kind of target some mexes here. Unfortunately, he built up some good light laser turrets, and that made it pretty difficult. We start harassing his turrets, kill one light laser turret easily, and we got comms going at each other here, doing decent damage. My thugs obviously getting plenty of value here as well, and he is quite low. Let's actually see, what health is he at. He is almost dead. He's at 13% health, and we're just going to retreat into our turret again. Unfortunately, we are a bit low on energy as well. I don't think I'm properly scaling here. Let's do a pause on that. So we have a decent amount of T1 solar, but no T2 solar yet, and T2 solar is a bit more energy dense. And I ended up building a lot of construction turrets because of my metal income. I was pretty full on metal, so I wanted to try to use it up as quick as I could. So this is maybe a little premature on the T2 solar. Maybe it would have been better to go for some T1, but you know, that's why we're energy stalling, and I think almost our entire team is energy stalling across the whole map. This guy's just planning on spamming solar panels galore over here, and unfortunately red and green have been struggling quite a bit across the whole map here. Nebuchadnezzar coming in with transition into bots, it looks like, but he is keeping the air factory open for that mobility, and that's not a bad idea. He also has a ton of shurikens that he is stunning with those to take the front line and make sure he gets some good value with those shurikens. Always nice to have some of those on your side, even in a small team game. It could be quite handy. So we're in a pretty good position here. The commander's low, which means I can definitely do some harassment on them without too much risk to myself, because if they don't pull back their commander, they could be in trouble themselves. We can see here they are pushing my comm with a lot of units, and one thing you can think of doing is, on occasion, if there's a lot of units like that that are pushing you, you may want to try and do a comm bomb with it. I don't think I end up going for that though. And so basically, let me explain. My commander was right here, and they had a line of units right there. If I push my commander forward to explode right here, that would kill all of their units, and I could bring in, I don't know if I have any res bots or anything, but I could bring in any units I need to just capture this metal and hold. Because what ends up happening with the comm bomb is instead of them having more units, they now have eliminated their entire army, and so you can gain that position and just hold and even reclaim some of that metal if you need to. So it can be pretty handy actually to go for a commander bomb on occasion. Okay, which I actually end up dying here, which is unfortunate, and that's kind of what happens. We end up taking out a lot of that metal, and my units are all still healthy. Most of his units are dead, and we just come to defend this corpse with what we have. Now we know his commander is quite low based on what the previous fight has been like, so we want to just keep that in mind. Unfortunately, I think I'm a little bit AFK back at base, and I've pulled back a little bit too late. Calm is still at only 30 HP, targeting some of those res bots, as those guys are gonna be a bit annoying as well. We got one of our res bots coming up, and I think this is about the time I noticed that I need more of them, so I queued up 3 grave robbers in my cycle instead of just 1, because you want a lot more grave robbers than you probably think you do. And red is pushing heavily on this side. Red is starting to have quite the stronghold, and it is very difficult to hold it off for green here, but both corpses still under no one's control, which is kind of hilarious. Green holding his own. Anyway, we aren't even to the most interesting part, because green ends up leaving, and that becomes even more difficult. So we are good across the map. A little bit of a stabilization here. We got these thrashers here ready for any air, as we recently had some shurikens come in and try to hit us, and we're going to try to res our commander to get him back in the fight. Resing or eating. It looks like I'm metal stalling right now, which is crazy. I think I just wanted units pumped out as quick as I could due to the fact that I have an advantage on the army. I want to solidify that advantage, and I should definitely be cranking out some more build power as well, but I just don't realize it due to all the aggression that's happening at the front. So we end up finding his base here and wrecking it. Almost. There we go. Now they're moving. Kind of. Obviously not the best and the best option there, to be sitting and not shooting things. Anyway, we end up taking out the lab there. Oh, just a couple more shots. Boom, lab done. Okay, and we just barely have any units, but thankfully our reinforcements are coming in, and we are just overflowing energy and build power here. We really need to finish our energy and metal. Such a problem. And then green also ended up collapsing and giving up halfway through the game. So now I am having to situate, okay, what do I need to do here? He has a decent amount of build power, which is good because that was something I was low on. And so I'm just decide, okay, we're going to keep pumping these on repeat, and we're just going to try to hold off red as long as we possibly can, while also trying to get the kill on green. So now I'm split, and when you get split in a game like this with bar, you get split up into 2 sides, it can be rather tough, because now you have opposite ends of the map you have to worry about. And you can see these are enemies pushing on me right now, coming straight towards my base, and I don't know when I end up noticing them. I don't think I see them very quickly. Yeah, they are in my radar range now, so I'm now somewhat aware of the potential problem we have. And I'm gonna start to keep my armies separated by numbers. So my army over here, I'm going to make it number 1, totally number 1. Any number 1 units are going to be over here, so I can just press number 1 and I will be on this side of the map and ready to fight. And over here, I'm going to have it be number 2. And that's really good for just, you can't work as efficiently, but you'll be able to just maintain proper control of your armies and quickly push and pull your units forward and backward as needed. So that's what we're going to end up having to do to be able to survive this split. You can see we just now noticed, oh great, there's problems here, and they do a decent amount of damage on us. So we have one player who gave up. We got me, whose entire base is being raided by grunts right now. Thankfully we did some decent damage here, but it's not looking great, you know. We end up sucking up these guys, thankfully, and the grunt raid wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it was still a little bit disastrous. So we try to get all of our number 1 units back on this side just in time for a ton of grunts to be pushing in, but thankfully we have so much metal we're able to just pump units out here. And you can see we're still multiplying construction bots as well. That helps to just maintain your build power and helps to just provide opportunity for expansion as needed. We got our comm back up with the res bots, and we're going to be trying to take out Orange as quickly as possible because he has a weakened position himself. I think he ended up building a vehicle lab somewhere back here, or he has another bot lab over here and a vehicle lab, so he's going for a bit more of a spam style of build. We're just maintaining the front line here. We have a ton of pawns, a ton of blitzes and grunts mixed in and lining up here, and I'm gonna try to do a full wipe of red when I get the chance. Yeah, and I'm just hoping that green can hold off yellow, or turquoise can hold off yellow, because man alive, if I had to take care of yellow too, we'd be in a bit of trouble. So on occasion we'll end up coming over to help with stuff, but trying to avoid it as best we can. Just tons and tons of the thugs coming in for damage here, and working on some defenses for those as well. Thankfully turquoise is able to hold the front okay. And these thugs are quite powerful in large groups, so we're at a position where we can probably do a decent amount of damage and possibly even kill all of Nico's base there. Unfortunately, red starts pushing in on me, so I just consolidate. I don't have the ability to spread too thin, so I just consolidate on this side to try to make sure I don't get overwhelmed and that my base falls, because if this base collapses, it's basically game over 100%. Nico ends up pushing me here, and I know he's lower already because I've been doing damage to him on occasion. And I think I might be distracted to the point where I'm not even focusing him, and I'm rather focusing this base at this point. We have low metal now, where we basically have nothing. So Resbot's going for eating and resurrecting. This side trying to get the metal advantage that we need. And the blue and red over here getting totally swarmed by my giant pile of blitzes that I have built up, which is actually quite powerful. And I think we might, I don't know if we capitalize on this wreck pool very well. He ends up pushing in with his commander, as there's a lot of units there. Unfortunately, I'm split, so I can't really pay too much attention to what's going on both sides of the map. But we end up pushing in, and we find a commander, which is kind of a bad deal, but we still have plenty of metal here that we can throw at it. And we've been stockpiling quite a bit as well. Doing decent damage, but probably not the best trades, to be honest. So we end up consolidating on that side. And we got the kill over here with Nico. And at this point, I think we start reclaiming. Yep, we're going for metal reclaim at this point, trying to scoop up the delicious bounties of our reward. Yellow or green, I think, yeah, red ended up having to go. And so this leaves us in a better position now, because it's two players controlling two different teams at the same time. So instead of just being me having to do two separate sides of the map, now it's Nebuchadnezzar also having to do the same thing that I did. And we unfortunately did not see this until it was too late because of how far spread we are across the map. So by the time I do see it, it's a little bit too late. We kind of get our base somewhat destroyed here, but we have enough blitzes to really push in and solve this problem for the most part, while also harassing Nico a bit as well. I believe I'm going to start aggressing on Nebuchadnezzar. We also have sight of bombers here as well. I think that is our cue. We have a decent amount of anti-air across our front, or our baseline here, but it's still quite a significant portion of bombers that are across the map, so something we need to be careful of. They end up doing a bum rush. We have tons of economy here, and I think I mostly just spilled over into turquoise, so I try to get some more build turrets up on this side, and we're continuing to build some basic defenses here as well. And obviously, if I had the opportunity, I would have sent this guy in and tried to do some more aggression. We're doing some resurrection on this side, trying to get our forces back up, and we have a little bit of reclaim field that we are possibly going to try to take later on. My forces are spread kind of thin, but we're going to try to push in on Nebuchadnezzar here, getting a little bit too balled up, and that's just APM stalling due to everything that I'm having to do. You can see I'm getting pushed by T2 as well, so I'm not even focused on the fact that all of my rocket bots were being hit instead of pushing in. So Nebuchadnezzar trying to do a chase down of the commander. I stop here to try to get the D-guns in, and I'm not quite enough energy in to actually do it. And the fact that Nebuchadnezzar has T2, that means I definitely need to start working on it. So I try to get all these guys to working on T2 now as well. Oh, these rocket bots just getting shredded by bombs. Quite disappointing. And we have a decent pile of T1 raiding bots built up at this point, and this is where I determine, okay, we're gonna start crushing this whole entire army. So we push in with all of our units there, and we're kind of going for full aggression. There's lots of metal across the map here. You can see groups of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and a decent chunk of metal here as well. And just cranking out the res bots you need to build a massive army here is going to be very important. Unfortunately, I had them stop right there. It would have been good for me to push all the way forward, but I was so focused on this side of the battle that it just didn't turn out quite as well as it could have. We also got T2 coming out. We got our T2 Khan going, and I believe these guys are going to start helping him out eventually, just trying to upgrade all of our mexes across the entire map. We got our giant pile of blitzes pushing across, going for Yellow's base, who has some T2 vehicles. And we do some decent damage here, get some of his build power, but that's about it, unfortunately. Not nearly as much as I would have liked to see. And we're up against T2 tanks coming our way, so we're going to begin to pile up our forces as best we can. We don't know. I guess they decided to go centered instead. Here comes the bombing run that he was preparing. I think we got vision of it relatively early on. Oh, nope, we didn't. We didn't get vision of it in time, so none of our anti-air is available. And I start cranking it out as quick as I can. Thankfully, most of those bombers missed everything. They just hit our energy conversion, and that was about it. Unfortunately, they also wiped our two-Chev player, Batman. Got hit pretty heavily there. So we got a couple Manticores coming out, and we're going to start building massive amounts of Fiends as well. As you can see, with such a big map, raiding units are very powerful because you can move quickly, and that is important. The ability to move fast is very valuable because you can maneuver the terrain quicker and rotate as needed. Okay, let's speed up through this point a little bit further. Got some anti-air sniping these bombers, and we got more bombers coming in, trying to continually harass and actually doing a pretty good job of it. And then we got another raid. We're pushing on that secondary base. We want to just wipe this whole base, and eventually you'll see we get set up for a massive amount of units constantly barraging this side. We ended up wiping all of this side of the base, and we tried going straight for Nebuchadnezzar. Unfortunately, he sends a lot of T2 in to stop that push, but we do a little bit of damage, which is very handy. Doing quite a bit with just T1. So he has to end up repairing, but most of his base is actually right here. Most of his good units are right here. We just shut down his air factory, really. And they start pushing us on this side too. I never did finish off Nico, so he rebuilt as he had another base here and also has some T2. So he's still coming in on us, but thankfully I had a mammoth out that was able to stop any aggression, really. And I think we've got a repeat command here. We got 5 fiends, 2 manicore, 1 mammoth on repeat, and we are still overflowing metal. So we're trying to build some more build power, trying to keep it spread out to save it from any bombing runs that may be happening, while also upgrading our mexes across the whole map. Struggling the most with energy at this point, really. Got plenty of anti-air across the front. We got a decent amount of light units, so we kind of avoided this whole section. I think we were trying to zone in completely on Nico to kill him down at this point. A couple units we were able to res. Feeding Batman all of that excess metal. It's really just an energy stall, so I focused this fusion reactor as quick as I can as soon as it was available. That way we can try to solve this energy stalling issue we keep having. Lots of T1 units lining up on the front, getting ready for a big push. And right now we have kind of limited view of what's going on. We have a single scout plane, or I guess that's a fighter, but we don't really see that much going on. Here comes a lot of fiends, and I'm pushing in my T2 or my T1 raiders at this point, trying to go for that second base that I know he has up there. He ends up pushing me on this side with some of the bots or some of the blitzes he ended up rezzing, which I wasn't aware of them even being there, which is unfortunate because they did quite a bit of damage. But this is the main focus, trying to hit his second base once again. And doing decent amounts of damage here. But he got a very good self-destruct off, and most of his build power stayed alive, unfortunately, causing just a little bit of extra damage on some of his stuff. Yep. Yellow's just constant, or orange is just constantly giving some harassment there. Let's go ahead and speed up. This is because you may think this game looks like it's about to be over. No indeed it is not. This game goes for quite a while longer. It was an interesting back and forth. We're gonna wait till Nebuchadnezzar pulls out his T3, because that's what his plan is to eventually start cranking T3. Just some minor skirmishes. And when you get to this late in the game, you end up watching the map from more of an outside perspective, looking at the entire map, because if you zoom in on every little thing, you can't see everything you need to. So I usually will, well, let's just see this view here. I was trying to get my energy up and so that's why I was down there. But usually when you're trying to do like any type of aggression, you want to just zoom out as far as you can and make your plays based on the entire map, especially if you have to play two different sides like this. So let's keep going here. We end up pushing in, and I want to kind of just kill Nico because I know he is being a thorn in my side. And we have the mammoths, which do very excellent damage. And okay, so here we've started our spam finally, and we're just doing three bots, vehicle or bot factories. I end up making them go straight up like this and try to come in on the side. And that's one of my favorite things to do with spam, is to position it so that it will flow straight into the defenses or straight past the defenses of an enemy team or an enemy player and into their back line, because that's usually a way they don't expect to be attacked. You can see we also had our constructors just constantly going and building mexes. We didn't really pay that much attention to whether or not we were able to keep all the mexes, but we constantly had them being built. And you can see here we had 11 blitzes, 1 construction vehicle, because that construction vehicle is able to go through and just constantly either eat up metal or build mexes. Both are very valuable things to do. So we're getting some aggression on this side. We end up doing a little bit of a push here. And we see a giant pile of resbots. Usually a giant pile of resbots like that is a pretty high priority to kill. And here is where we see the T3 come out. We've got 5 T3, and this is where I'm a little bit panicked because I don't have any T3 yet. All I have is some mammoths, and it's not enough. So all of my plan to take out Orange just disappeared as soon as those T3s came out. His base is all the way back here, and he's going also for Karganeth now at this point as well. So this is going to end up being a longer game because he ended up going T3, and his economy is quite good. We have a little bit more economy than he does, but as far as technology, he is quite further advanced than us. So we just throw in all of our units that we can, constantly trying to hit him with spam and get our commander ready for D-guns. These mammoths are relatively good actually at taking out the sheaves. Any light T3 units, mammoths are pretty good at taking them out. And you can see our spam is really coming online at this point. We can just full bore charge with our spam now because of how many factories we've built, all prepped to just fully push out units. And so we charge towards Nico's base, and thankfully Turquoise is coming online with a couple T2 as well. And now we have vision of Karganeth, which Karganeth are going to be a bad deal. Thankfully we get right into Nico's base, and we're going up against a giant bulwark, which with spam is kind of the worst possible decision, the worst possible opportunity, because these things are designed for killing spam. But we still do decent damage. Karganeth raining fire down and absolutely shredding our pawns. And thankfully we have some units that end up breaking through, and the bulwark is almost destroyed, actually. As hilarious as that is, a bunch of pawns ended up destroying the bulwarks. And I just kind of set these guys and forgot them for a while. So we come through and we just shred this whole base and push our mammoths up into Nebuchadnezzar's side as well as we can anyway. Obviously these Karganeth are a bit more than what we can handle, so we end up getting held back by them for a while. I think that was me on accident, self-destructing my fiends across the map. So let's go ahead and speed this up here. Karganeth pushing in. We have a huge flood of units coming towards the back line, and Nebuchadnezzar starts to sweep those up as well. And thankfully we have the mammoths taking out most of these Karganeth here. Got a D-gun on one, and T1 pushing in, mixed in with fiends, hitting some of his economy here, barely taking out his build power, which is good enough. But we have a lot of metal on this side, and that's going to be really good because we've been metal starved ever since we went T2. Now we have some T3 being pumped out as well, so hopefully we end up getting a little bit better. Oh, this poor guy. Oh, D-gun. No D-gun. No cloaking. Bad deal. So he got a Karganeth that's just sitting in the back line, getting ready to wipe out my poor teammate. So I send as many units as I can to try to take this guy out, because he's just wreaking havoc in the back. And he's gone. So we got our T3 pushing in, and we have a decent pile of them. Keeping our spam up as well. Let's go ahead and speed up the process here. We've got a little bit of metal left. Most of it got reclaimed pretty early on. The map's looking a lot basically the same. It feels about the same this whole game, due to just the amount of harass I keep having to deal with constantly. So we get our giant pile of pawns and fiends pushing in on this side, because we really need to just end this game. T3 comes in and crushes these Karganeth, and we're going to break through his defenses, and we pile into their economy quite a bit and destroy a decent amount of it. Unfortunately, we do a run by right past his T3 factory. We had no idea that it existed that whole time. And the funny thing is, guess who's rebuilding? Yeah, Orange is rebuilding. He's been staying alive all game, just spamming units sneakily. You can see we have a decent amount of the demons coming in, and I see it, so I moved my comm over to deal with it, because I know T1 spam is a pretty rough way to deal with fiends, or with demons. They end up killing us, and they do quite a bit of damage on one of our bases, which isn't good. Wiping out some of our spam, absolutely shredding it. And we just are not able to deal with it. We end up taking some damage. And I see, oh, look at that, we have too many constructors here. We probably just could have reclaimed him at that point. So he ends up dying, thankfully. And we have to rebuild our spam a bit there. But we had T2 or T3 that came into the base and did some massive damage. Shelling. Yeah, it's so crazy to have a wide map like this. And on this wide map, looks what's happening here. No one told me. There was a giant pile of grunts that decided to come in and absolutely destroy my entire base. Oh, the raiding just doing quite well here. Annihilating all of my build power, which is terrible because we just did damage to them. And now my whole economy is getting destroyed as well. Thankfully, that fusion kind of blew up several of those grunts, and we start to gain control of it, and we still have a decent amount of build turrets up. And that's one thing good about spreading out your build turrets, if you have the space to spread them out. On maps like Glitters, it's a bit harder to do that, but on maps like this, spreading out your build turrets so that they don't all get taken down in one hit, that can be very handy. You can see we're starting to lose the T3 battle here, where they are outnumbering us and out hitting us We've got a little bit too little metal, actually. We're kind of struggling on the metal side of things across the whole map, and there's not really much to reclaim. So I need to start getting my energy conversion up quickly, because energy conversion is something that's going to help us really scale to the next level. Decent amount of spam, killing that last guy. But yeah, we don't quite have the income I would like. We only have about 200 natural income without reclaim. Okay, let's go ahead and move past here. Getting our spam in, and we're just going to try to kill Orange again, because apparently he rebuilt. It would have been better, honestly, to just push Orange and clear that entire corner to verify there was nothing there. But we just weren't paying enough attention. So we ramrod in, do decent damage. See that Orange rebuilt, but we're trying to get into Yellow's economy. We have a decent number of T3 pushing in as well, while also pushing in with T1, spreading the map. And Yellow is coming in on my side here, so I'm just trying to stop him with spam. Thankfully it mostly worked, sending all of these units to stop him with spam and T3, and Nebuchadnezzar ends up calling the resign vote because I end up getting some T3 into his base. So yeah, quite the insane game, quite a difficult playthrough where it had a lot of back and forths where it could have gone either way. So games like this are quite interesting, but very, very fun, and will definitely spark a challenge in your mind of being able to maintain a very wide battlefield all on your own. So definitely would recommend giving a couple bigger maps a try with small team games. It can be very entertaining, very fun, and you can learn a lot about map control and just scaling even as you go. I definitely made a lot of mistakes in this game. I know that it was not a perfect playthrough, but with everything that was going on, not bad for a 27 OS. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.